right, when did you join the military?
I joined the military right after high school in 2002, and I was 17 years old. So I went straight from high school into basic training.
Okay. When I was in Desert Storm, the reason why I call master sergeants instead of just sergeants is because of the utmost respect I had for my supervisor, which was Master Sergeant Thomas Elliott. I will never forget that gentleman as long as I live. Oh, he was tough on me. Trust you me. But at the same time, he took care of me. He would sit down with me. That's how NCO should work, taking care of soldiers. Nowadays, it's like you are just a number. You're just someone that comes in. Hey, you just need to do your job, move out smartly. There's no real interaction. And what bothers me the most is that we're teaching about leadership, but we're now taken away from FM 22-100, Chapter 4, Be, Know, and Do. I don't know where that went, but the new one came in and that went out, and that has really upset me because that's what we need to do. We need to be a leader, yes, but we need to not only know ourselves, know our jobs, but we need to know our soldiers, okay? And to do what is right, that should be, integrity, the whole 9 yards. But we definitely need to be, know, and do. And we need to keep that mentality for the leaders and for the soldiers, because if we're not doing that as leaders, then sure as heck those soldiers aren't going to do it once they become NCOs. All they're going to be are just sergeants.
Just a few weeks ago, they had a procession that came down from Tucson to lay to rest the remains of several service members who had remained in funeral homes in the area for decades, waiting for relatives to come and claim them. What was your opinion on that, and did you take part in that?
There were quite a few of us. Well, I won't say quite a few. There were about 10 of us who were there for the procession. Some of us were military, some of us were not, some of us were veterans. I would have liked to have seen more people out to honor them. No veteran should ever die alone, and I'm just glad that they gave them a proper going away and that I could be there for that. But it was, I think it just brought back, the biggest thing it brought back for me, I think, was that I don't know where my father is, and he could be gone for all I know, and it makes me wonder if his remains are somewhere waiting for us to claim him, and he's been gone and we just don't know. And I think that was the biggest thing that it brought back for me.
To getting our vehicles ready, we had to, it's like something out of Mad Max. We were welding all sorts, and most of us didn't have any welding experience. But most of the guys ended up welding just, any scrap pieces of metal we could find onto our vehicles for protection. Our vehicles were loaded down with sandbags. They took the doors off my vehicle and put on just steel slabs for protection. They didn't think to create a latching device, so the doors didn't close. Luckily, I remembered packing with me every bungee cord that I could buy at a Clothing and Sales before we deployed, and I put that in my A-bag. So we rigged it to where we could close it with the bungee cords. They still flapped about 2 inches, but it wasn't the doors just opening whenever they wanted, which was insane. We still had to do training. We were in Kuwait for about a month. So we were doing training on just physical training, training on where we were going to go, different battle drills. I have second-degree burns on the back of my neck from one of the ranges we went to, where the guy firing next to me was a lefty, and his brass, it just kept going down the back of my uniform. And to keep it from rolling all over my back, I just I'd throw my shoulders forward and I'd pin it in place so it wasn't, burning all of me, just one area. And apparently that really freaked out the colonel's security detail. They asked my first sergeant, "What's wrong with that female?" Because I guess they expected me to start screaming and running around, "Oh my God, it burns." And I don't know, it was our job. We had to do this. I knew if I'm getting brass down my shirt, we're in a real firefight, I need to be able to handle myself accordingly.
I think after a while, my family started to feel alienated because things that were important to them or that they saw as priorities in day-to-day life were not the same for me. I had a larger concept of the world. I had different things that were important. And sad to say, over time, I think that the bond between myself and some of my family members actually broke to the point that I was no longer just their daughter or their sister. It was who I was in the military. It was my daughter the soldier, my sister the soldier. And that can be hurtful. I take pride in what I did and who I am. But people need to understand that soldiers are like everybody else. They're just people. It's another job. It's quite a bit more difficult and demanding than the day-to-day jobs. But at the end of the day, we're more than that.
When I got to my first unit, they didn't know what to do with me yet, so they sent me TDY to USACOM. And the man that I worked for was a man named Lieutenant Colonel Bolt, and I remember really, really wanting to impress him because he was such a high-speed soldier. He's the kind of guy that we all kind of look at as a soldier. This is what I've always imagined a soldier was going to be.
My dad, stop it. Ow! Are you going to have to redo that?
I'm looking back, the moments that stand out are when I graduated from basic training, because a lot of my friends didn't think I was going to make it through because of my temperament. So graduating from basic was one. Listening to this asshole drive around with his
our country's built on. But the one thing I would like people to remember is if you're not brave enough to put that uniform on, if you're not devoted enough,
in order for you to be able to